We tend to get caught up on everything else. Somebody's color, their religion, their financial wealth, or what they have and I don't have. Man, if we just got back to the most simplest, being our brother's keeper, I
Okay.
think we would change this world. Learning to love someone in spite of their differences, in spite of their flaws, just kind of going back to just care about somebody
Right.
and treat somebody like you want to be treated.
Hey there, I'm Shavonne Reed, your guide here on Future Health Now, where we're all about advocating for health equity and generational wellness starting today. If you're a public health professional, a parent, or a community leader concerned about the well-being of our next generation, then you are in the right place. A great way to plug into this community is to sign up for our monthly newsletter at futurehealthnow.com, where we'll keep you informed about upcoming events, educational content, and ways to stay engaged. Today, I had the opportunity to sit down with Jonathan Gary Sr. He's a serial entrepreneur, community leader, advocate for social and economic change, and founder of I-KARE Treatment Center based in West Palm Beach, Florida. We will discuss the interesting backstory on how he came to discover his calling to help others overcome addictions through rehabilitation. He will also share the role entrepreneurship, empowerment, and spiritual community play as a solution to some of the biggest challenges we're seeing today in youth, and why he's encouraged to empower men to be better overall citizens through mentoring and brotherhood. And of course, he will share that one significant action he believes we all need to be doing better to positively impact generational change. I hope you will walk away as inspired and motivated by Jonathan's wisdom as I did. Let's jump into the conversation now. Your calling today is really helping people to overcome addiction. So what is it that you wish people knew about your story that led you to where you are today?
So one of the things you just said that stuck out to me, I have a calling, not a passion. An addiction has been my calling, but not my passion. My passion would be loving to sit on a yacht, drinking Mai Tais in the Caribbean, making millions off of Bitcoin and those type of things. But God called me to do his work. So when I had to understand that my life is required to do his work, my calling is to help his people. So with that being stated, when I got that Holy Spirit giving me that mantle to go over and open doors and be a voice for the voiceless, I understand that it was bigger than me. So with addiction, and you said, how did that become my calling? It was more or less, that's what I was instructed to do. For us spiritual folks, we know sometimes our path is already prepared for us. My center has been such as that. When it's already there, I just got to be smart enough to play Lego and put one part on top of the other. So it's been an exciting journey thus far. What people need to know that this isn't something that's going to be miraculously solved overnight. This is so many issues that we all have to tackle as a world, because addictions is not just in the United States. We have several addictions around this global planet. So one step at a time to create some opportunities to give people some chances. And I think we can start chipping away at that mountain.
Now, one of the things that was really insightful as I was looking through your bio, my husband and I, we recently found out that we lost one of our dear friends that we've known for many years to addiction. And we had no clue that he was struggling. So he was suffering silently and within his own bubble. So what advice would you have for others as they seek to empower others and, really to help just uplift their brother to be able to help them with the struggle of addiction?
If you give that person that safe space and that opportunity to be their most authentic self, we would tend to find out really what's going on with them. And oftentimes, folks that may be suffering in silence are watching us to say, hey, is that person a prejudge, or are they going to be empathetic to what I'm going through? So I think we just really need to be mindful of what we give back to, right? So if we're talking to someone, I always talk to someone is I never know what they're going through. I'm never judging anybody. I'm never putting anybody on this box or in this island, because I can easily be in that same spot myself, or a friend or family. Like you just said, you didn't know. Creating an environment around friends and family that we can be transparent, and whatever we say within that bubble stays in that bubble, you'll start to see more people within our own circles tend to be more forthright in what they got going on.
Now, there's a big part of shame, I think, that comes with addiction. And how can we as like leaders just kind of destigmatize? Are there like some best practices?
As leaders, we sometimes overcomplicate things and make things more than what it is. If it's not a loss of life or the building on fire, we got an opportunity, like I said, to put that small fire out. With that being said, it's kind of going back to just I personally make sure that whoever I'm around, I can always give them and checking in. Hey, is there anything you want to talk about? I don't want to talk about nothing else. They just talk about you. What's going on with you? And that's one of the questions, I guess, when I interview people for positions with me. I said, I don't want to know anywhere where you've worked. Don't really care right now. Let's just talk about who you are as a person. I want to learn more about your character, and then you can flip the script and ask me anything you want about me personally. And then I think that's how we start to build and lower those bridges to where people can feel confident in having those stigmatized conversations, because it's just not just an addiction. It may be something else they may have going on. It's just going back to being a good humanitarian, I would say.
I definitely have seen things kind of evolve, because before it was always separating like family and church, or I mean, work and church, right? You didn't talk about religion or spirituality at all in your business or in work, in the workplace. And so with the pandemic, things have just kind of really shifted a lot in that vein. So it's very interesting that you say when you're interviewing people, you kind of do like a check-in with them to kind of see how they're doing. And I certainly can appreciate that, because I was reached out to a mentor, someone who I wanted to work more closely with and learn from. And one of the things that she asked me was really about my why, because she really wanted to see if the reasons why I was doing what I was doing resonated with her and would give her the feeling that she wanted to pour back into me, and that I was seeking things for the right reasons.
And I don't know who started or where did it start, right? Like work is the best place to talk about politics. Work is the best place to talk about religion. Work is the best place to do everything that I do at home. I spend 8 hours with my dysfunctional family at work. Depending on where your situation is, you may go an 8-hour day. You go home, cook dinner. You might see your significant other or kids, maybe 4, right? And then you got to sleep.
Yes.
We spend more time with our work family than we do with our own family. So with that being said, this is the problem where I feel like our workforce and COVID has exposed some of those things, is because we got away from knowing each other. I don't have to agree with my brother or sister that I work with about politics, but I at least want to know where they're coming from, because guess what? We can have meaningful conversations on change, right? So me being a Black Republican, that's very few when I talk to other Democrats, it's things that we can talk about that make sense. But if we never have a dialogue, it's not like the average Joe is going to jump on somewhere and say, hey, let's just all get together and let's just meet in the park and let's just talk about issues. That doesn't happen. It may happen, but it may not make the mainstream news if they are. You know what I mean? So we got to be able to find ways to connect. Like I was saying in our pre-conversation, sometimes just worrying about my own 6 feet. Because if I'm taking care of my same brother or sister at work that has became my new extended family. I call it dysfunctional family. We fight at home, we fight at work, but we're going to always eat and get together and be good. We need to be able to make sure that we're in tune to each other. And if we have those safe and comfortable conversations within each other, I guarantee we'll have better work outcomes and productivity, because we'll have more trust.
Right. I totally agree with that. Knowing what you know now through your own story and life experiences, tell me, what would you advise your teenage self about preparing for adulthood?
Learning to sit myself down somewhere and listen. Stop thinking I know it all, because we still never know it all. But I wish 2 sentiments in that is I wish I found religion at an earlier age. And I wish I would have been able to receive more than I was trying to give, meaning opinions, thoughts, ways they supposed to be done, and just being a steward of being a good follower before I can be a good leader.
Wow, that's deep. I can certainly appreciate that.
Yes. So that's
Mm-hmm.
what I would say to myself then. Soak in as much as you can. I have my own unconventional ways of looking at life. I always say between 20 to 30, you're kind of wet toilet tissue. So when I say you kind of wet toilet tissue, you don't really know. We still trying to, because just because you turn 18, that don't make me an adult. You know what I mean? Because most of our 18s now are still staying at home, still living with parents, still going in the refrigerator, still need to borrow moms and dad's cars. And can I get $20 to go here, right? So I'm 18 and I can legally, be sent to the penitentiary. I still don't understand life. So between that 20 and 30 years old, I wish I wasn't Dollar Tree paper towel. I wish I was Bounty. So when I say that is, you can be wet toilet tissue and you still can be good for soaking up the quicker picker upper, right? You ever seen that commercial with Bounty
I
where the
have.
people beat on stuff and right, and the juice still spills over?
Yes.
Let's be Bounty. Let's soak in as much information as we can, because all of that information that we learn in that period can actually shape us once we hit our late 30s or early 30s to really springboard us forward into relationship, careers, and possibly future education.
Wow. So really we need to be the quilted quicker picker upper, huh?
It must be the quilter instead of that cheaper brand, right? Because when you pick up that wet toilet tissue or that paper towel and it breaks apart, and that stems into mental health too, right? And it's so much because it was never really a foundation that was given to you to know how to deal with issues and situations and conflicts, and it's just so much can go into that. To me, that most nurturing stage of, now that I'm leaving high school, transitioning into college, and learning what that true independence is.
Yes, absolutely. That's one of the things that I say that we've kind of tried to put in practice in our home is not making it appear that everything is perfect, but also
Mm-hmm.
like unveiling and, giving the
Mm-hmm.
kids a look behind the curtain and just really pointing out some things that there will be struggles and this is how you
Mm-hmm.
overcome issues and everything is not going to be handed to you and everything is not going to go the way you
Right.
anticipate it will
Right.
go.
Right. Right. And now, and that struck close to home on Monday. My son didn't make the basketball team. And he thought the whole world was coming down because, his dad is comfortable, live in a comfortable environment. So he just, again, assumed that this is what it is. And it was just one of his realities of, you are not always going to be able to be as successful in certain areas as though you want. Like, you just get back on the horse and keep riding it until you can stay on that mechanical bull a lot longer than you want to.
Right. Given the fact that you have boots on the ground with your I-KARE treatment center, I wonder what are some of the biggest challenges that you've seen our youth, particularly those that relate to negative influences that lead to negative health outcomes?
I don't think I could say it's one particular thing, right? Because everybody in their own right has a different story. Back in the day, we would always say, "Oh, the rap music or the music or Instagram or this," right? Because as I know my clients, there's no one, Ms. Reed, has the same story. It was a client that I had. Her mom and dad was really, really well off. She's never flown commercial in her life. She's always flown in a private jet for the family jet. And her story was why she's in addiction is because she had a nanny and she didn't feel like her parents loved her. But they bought her a house at 18 years old. So she just wanted the parents, and she was sleeping on the street, and she's worth millions. But if somebody would have approached her, they would have approached her like she's homeless and this and this and that. She could take a bath and walk home and instantly be back into a Rolls Royce. And she's never flown commercial ever in her life. So listening to her story, I'm like, here I was with a single mom. Here you got your own house on the beach at 18. So I can't say hearing their stories, because I hear everybody's story. I love hearing it, right? I can't say it's one issue. I can't say it's economics all the way for certain people. I can't say it's race. I can't say it's social media. I think it's just a conglomerate of life and us and folks not really knowing how to deal with life.
That was really insightful, though, because it was just only a few years ago that I even realized that there was a such thing as affluenza. So, people who are, affluent, and it is a problem for them because I came from, a low income
Humble
family.
beginnings, right? You're right. Yeah.
And so it's just interesting that a lot of people feel like those that do end up on addiction, have this certain characteristics or demographic, but it happens to everyone. So you have to just be open and like remove those stigmas, right? Because it is nothing that points to say it's going to happen to you because of X, Y, or Z. It could happen to
It's
any
not
of us, right?
any of us. Let's go back to, our icons in the African American community. Who was the king of pop, right?
Absolutely.
He died from what? Fentanyl?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Look at the second king of pop I love, Prince, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whitney
Yeah.
Houston,
Man, I tell you, Whitney Houston inspired me in so many ways, so
right?
much so that I said, I know that there's no way that she could have thought that she was putting herself on this path, right? And even when I think about like times when I've been prescribed drugs, I'm like, I realized it could happen to me. If it could happen to her, then it could happen to me. So I make sure that I'm deliberate and intentional about how I take those painkillers. It's like, okay, I'm only going to take what I absolutely have to take.
I understand, but like our previous conversations, the generation I see today is not prescription drugs. It's rec drugs, fun drugs, life
Mhm.
drugs, not knowing how to cope drugs. Oh my God, I might not be, this today, so I don't want to deal with this reality. So let me just go and numb myself out because I just don't want to deal with life. Again, good question. Has me stumped. I can't say it's just one thing because, yeah,
Right.
like you said, I never would have thought Whitney Houston had it all, right? There's nothing
Mm-hmm.
Whitney could have done or whatever. She could have probably ran for president, and probably won.
Yes.
It's just one of those tough things we got to be thankful, but yet be humble enough to be able to go and be an olive branch for somebody else. And if you're going to help somebody, understand your limitations of help too. I think that's part of the other problems in addiction that we're not talking about either, is being that enabling type of behavior. A lot of times what I see is their support system has been that enabling support system because they don't want to see their kid or their mom or their brother or their uncle going through things. So they keep bending over backwards, hoping that this magic, whatever it is going to just disappear. It's not. Help what you can help, do what you can, but yet understand that you're not the man upstairs. So at some point, do what you can and then pray and keep them in prayer and remove yourself, because this is bigger than you. This is bigger than Jonathan. Jonathan and I-KARE can't save the world. I understand that. When I first got in this calling and understanding what it is, I just thought that I could just change everybody by prayer and going in, me going in, hugging them and squeezing them. No, that's not reality. That's not
Right.
reality. I can help. I can be that light. I can give them a safe, secure environment, provide them with the best therapist, and give them that true affection of Christ and love, right? And after that, I have to step back and say, Jesus, arm me up. Whatever it is that day, that's my prayer every morning. Let me be a beacon for you. It ain't about, I do ask for some stuff. I do want private jet and all that stuff too. But I also say when I finish is, what can I do for you today? Let me be able to be a light for you. And whoever that needs that, let me be that. So that's how I'm able to continue to move and push forward.
So that brings me to another interesting question. What role can entrepreneurship and business play in helping people to focus on serving a higher purpose?
I think for me, having a business, I'm able to provide. My purpose is to provide. My purpose is to make sure that I meet payroll, make sure that when my employees go and cash their checks, that there's money in there. My purpose is to say someone that's from my humble beginnings is now able to have a plethora of employees and a business that they can call home. I never thought that could be. So for me as an entrepreneur, I care about all my employees as though they're my family. They really are. Having an infectious spirit of not just saying, hey, let me be a great employer, because no, I'm not the best employer, so scratch that. I got my faults too, right? We're all human. Some things that I, learned from early in business and I'm still learning, right? But I think the biggest thing that we can do is to be a light for others to start their business. So whenever I run across someone and that's, hey, John, how you guys did this, and this, and I want to start my business, I say, you know what? Great. How can I help you? That's what I think we're not doing enough of. And that's what I think we can continue to grow, that changing environment to where corporations can no longer be that 1%, right? If we got a whole bunch of little small babies happening in a business, I think we can slowly change the dynamics of our world by empowering people to be financially freedom. Well, have more financial freedom. B, being able to be one of those places that you always wanted to work for, right? So we have a very dressed down, very easy environment. And there's no other joy knowing that I'm responsible for everybody in my center. So I know if I'm not where I need to be, then the whole chain pops, right? Like the bicycle chain. So if I'm not on my game and I pop, guess who I'm responsible now for? The whole chain coming off. So I have to thrive to be the best that I need to be every day, because I got tons of folks counting on.
Now, from your experience, what role would you say a spiritual community through church would play into that as well?
A church can be a bank, a lending opportunity. My Bible says, hey, we shouldn't charge interest, right? And what jumped out to me on that is because, and why I said being a bank is, most of our churches have $1 million budgets, and especially in the Black community, you drive down the street, there's 8 churches on every block. My pastor came to me at one time and says, I want to start a credit union. And we worked diligently about trying to start a credit union. But we learned that we need a lot more money. But my visions in that was to have this church-based community credit union to be able to make loans to start businesses, to buy houses, and to do those kind of things. Not saying that we're a church and we wouldn't be, financially common sense, right? We're not just going to get everybody loans. By trying to do it the right way, but not just concerned about a profit, I felt like we could probably make more of a dent in how a church could also be that opportunity, because everything in your church is normally there. You normally got a lawyer. You normally has a mechanic. You normally have, everybody is in there, but we never really come together to know where everybody's great calling is. So I think using that resource to learn and be able to give back financially, I think will help so much when there's little opportunity for folks to be able to get that help. Because your traditional bank won't give someone maybe $5,000 to start a cleaning service, but your church definitely has the budget to do that.
What is something that public health professionals or parents or educators or other stewards of our youth can be doing better or differently to positively impact societal and generational change?
I'll go back to caring. It all just, to me, is just the most simplest thing. We tend to get caught up on everything else. Somebody's color, their religion, their financial wealth, or what they have and I don't have. Man, if we just got back to the most simplest, being our brother's keeper, I think we would change this world. Learning to love someone in spite of their differences, in spite of their flaws, just kind of going back to just care about somebody,
right?
And treat somebody like you want to be treated. And I
The
think
golden rule, huh?
Yeah, just really give a darn. Really give a darn, and not just say it, but mean it.
Right. Now, how can folks connect with you offline?
Jonathan Gary Senior Incorporated, and that's the easiest way. And you can find all my contact information there and kind of learn a little bit about me. And then if you learn a little bit about me, you can actually find out how I can help you. And I'm in the business, like I said, of trying to get in that heavenly gate, not like I'm sliding in third, but walking up right, like, hey, God, I told you I was coming. Not like I'm just going in home like, ooh, I made it. Ooh, thank you. You know what I mean? Like, so dusting the dust off me. So you'll be able to connect with someone that can honestly, have the same passion and see your dreams come to fruition also.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Jonathan. It's been a great pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you. I was excited to be here.
That's a wrap to another edition of Future Health Now. We're incredibly grateful for the opportunity to serve you with this content and want to stay connected. The best way to do this is to sign up for our monthly newsletter at futurehealthnow.com. While you're there, we want to hear your feedback and make sure you feel this community is a resource that helps you feel best equipped for the public health education journey, one that you'll be proud to be a part of, and share the content with others so we can empower the healthiest, well-informed human population in history. If you haven't already rated the show on Apple or wherever you listen to your podcast, please simply tap the number of stars you feel this show deserves. This helps to get this content in front of more people and again, gauge how we can continually add more value to this community. This podcast wouldn't be possible without the help from our executive producer and production team at Chat with Leaders Media. If you're looking to launch your very own podcast in the industry you serve, go to chatwithleaders.com. Now, go enjoy a healthy, encouraging, and joy-filled day.